Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So I'm finally back. I was gone for a long time, almost for 3 months. Yeah, the last time I uploaded was in August. So I'm not gonna go in details like what happened. I had a very good reason for that. So if you know me personally, or some of you might know me through AFSHEEN, so you guys know. But other than that, if you guys are interested to know what happened, then I will probably do a separate life update video. But today we are gonna talk about a new product. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm gonna review this new Huda Beauty new nude palette. A lot of new here. So Huda Beauty just introduced another palette. She is on fire, guys, because it's not even 2 months, I believe. She has introduced all those 5 jewel tone palettes. Those are gorgeous. I haven't done a review because I was absent from YouTube. So those are gorgeous, by the way. So if you guys are interested to know, I have all those 5 palettes. If you guys are interested to know, I might do another review video, even though it's been a while. Anyways, so she has introduced another palette and she's calling it a new nude palette. In her opinion, this is a new definition of nude, because this is not like your typical nude, like the warm brown or orangey nude that you generally see in the market. So rather, this is like more rosy tone, purplish tone nude palette. So she's calling it the new nude palette, and the layout and everything is a little bit different compared to the other eyeshadow palettes that you see in the market. We will go in details because you are not getting all like 18 eyeshadows here. There are some glitters, there is an interesting cream product which is a concealer, she's calling it. Anyways, before going in details about the eyeshadows and all the other products you are getting here, let's talk a little bit about the packaging and the price. So this retails for $65. It might seem a little steep compared to the other high-end brands that you can see in the market, like Anastasia, Too Faced, Urban Decay, the comparable brands. But let me show you guys a breakdown how much product you are getting here and how much price that you are actually paying, because that is kind of interesting. Because $65, when you hear the price, it might seem like that's a lot, but let me show you guys the breakdown really quick. And if you're not interested in this breakdown, then you can just skip it a little bit, because we're gonna talk in details about all the eyeshadows and packaging stuff in a bit. But let me give you guys a little bit of this breakdown, because I feel like this is this is kind of an important stuff. Because $65, when you see, yeah, I have emphasized a lot about $65, but yeah, $65, when you hear the price, it's like, wow, that's a lot. But you are getting 18 eye products here, and you are getting total 19.7 gram. Yes, I have a little cheat sheet here because I don't remember all those numbers. I did the math and now I have this one in front of me. So you are getting 18 eye products here, and the total is 19.7 gram of product you are getting. This retails for $65. That breaks it down to $3.30. I will put a little table down here so that you can visualize all those comparison. And let me compare it with some of the new eyeshadow palette from the comparable brands. So I'm gonna compare it with the Anastasia Sultry palette, Too Faced Gingerbread palette, and another palette that I don't have in hand, but I got all the information from internet. So that is the Urban Decay Cherry palette. I believe those are very comparable, especially because the Cherry palette has some similar tones like this new nude palette. So Urban Decay Sultry palette, that retails for $45, and you are getting 14 eyeshadows. Each of them is 0.83 grams, so you are getting total 11.62 gram of product. That breaks it down, the price per gram, to $3.87. That's interesting, right? Because this is $45, $65, but this is actually cheaper. You are getting a lot of product. The per gram price is cheaper than the Sultry palette. Then the Gingerbread Spice palette, Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette, which retails for $49. You are getting same 18 eyeshadows here, and total you are getting 12.6 gram of product, which breaks it down to $3.88 per gram. You are paying for this palette. So these two are pretty comparable, $3.87 per gram and $3.88, and both of them are more expensive than the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. You might think like I have intentionally picked those palettes, those are more on the expensive side, but honestly guys, I had no idea. Before doing this math, I had no idea how much products you can get from these palettes, because the total, when you look at the total price, it actually looks cheaper, right? Because I tried to compare them with the comparable brands. Definitely I didn't compare it with the Pat McGrath palettes, because those are definitely on the luxury end, or the Dior palettes, because definitely Huda Beauty, the way she cater her brand, it's like they're more comparable to Anastasia, Too Faced, these brands, not like, you know, the luxury brands, in my opinion, actually. So this was not intentional, but I tried to compare them with the comparable brands that any consumer would think of. So next is the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette. I don't have that in my hand, but I'll probably put up a picture if I can. So that retails for $49 as well, and you are getting 12 eyeshadows. The total product you are getting is 13.2 gram of product, which breaks it down to $3.71 per gram. So that is cheaper than these two palettes, the Sultry palette or Gingerbread palette, but still on the higher price point compared to the Huda Beauty Nude palette. So among these four palettes, this is actually the cheapest. Honestly, guys, trust me, I didn't know that this is gonna be the cheapest. I thought like this will be kind of in the middle, because previously for other comparisons I did some math for other Anastasia eyeshadows. So I know that Anastasia eyeshadows, you are not getting that much of product in each palette. So I had kind of an idea that probably this will be on the higher price range, but I had no idea that this is gonna be the cheapest among all these four. Anyways, so my point is, like, even though the $65, the total price might seem like you are paying a lot compared to the other comparable brands, but you are actually getting a lot of products, and the price per gram is actually cheaper compared to the other high-end brands that you see at this moment in the market. So that goes the price. Now let me talk a little bit about the packaging, then we will go straight into the eyeshadows. So it comes with an outer sleeve that is made of plastic, and it is white with the Nude embossed logo up here. This is cute, and the palette, the outer packaging is really cute, honestly. So outer sleeve, I'm okay with that. It's not neither like wow or not too bad, so I don't care about it that much, because I'm probably gonna throw it out. But on top of the palette, they have these nude letters embossed, and it is kind of duochrome. I don't know whether you can see it on camera, but it has that rose gold and pink duochrome, and the Huda Beauty logo is also. So inside the palette, you are actually getting another sleeve like this, which is pretty thick. I feel like this is kind of, if you don't lose it, this is kind of handy to, you know, show it in front of the camera, A, and B is like, it helps to keep your mirror clean, at least in my opinion. Anyways, inside the palette you are getting a full-size mirror. I believe only the first palette she introduced, the rose gold palette, the original rose gold palette, that didn't have any mirror, but from the Desert Dusk palette, this is pretty common that you get a very full-size mirror here, which I really appreciate. And then inside you are getting 89 products. Not all of them are eyeshadows, so these two are straight up pressed glitter, and you are getting one concealer here. She calls it concealer. The name is concealed, so yeah, it's kind of like concealer like product, but honestly guys, I don't see myself wearing it as a concealer under my eyes. A, this is pretty thick. B, it is just one color, so this is not gonna work for all skin tones. So I believe the reason why she has included it, because you can use it as you know, to cancel the darkness on your eyelid maybe, because other than that I don't see any use of it, at least not for my skin tone. This is just one color, yeah, where else you can use, unless it actually matches your skin tone. But even if it matches your skin tone, I feel like for under eye area this is pretty thick, so the only use of it is on my eyelid, at least for me, or I believe like for everyone. But the problem is, like, you have introduced two glitter products here, so these glitters are gonna go up here. Even though this palette wouldn't have any glitter, the other eyeshadow products would go into this cream product, so I can see myself making it dirty pretty quickly. You can see that I have already made it a little bit dirty up here, and over the use it's gonna be really dirty, so I won't be able to use it, and this will be contaminated, so unless you depot it. But yeah, I don't see myself taking that extra work to depot this palette, because the palette will be a hot mess then. Anyways, I don't see a use of it here, so this is kind of like, you know, for me it's of no use. She could have just skipped this one. I feel like she has introduced this one to make it a little bit unique, because not all eyeshadow palette includes that. I believe I cannot remember which brand was that, probably Benefit, but I have seen only one palette where they have, you know, put the cream products there, but they just put a plastic lid on top of the cream product to keep it separate from the other powder products in the palette. That was brilliant idea. Only then I can justify to, you know, introduce a creamy product in a palette where there are some other powdery and glittery products. But other than that, I feel like this is gonna be way too dirty. This is gonna, you know, contaminate with the other powder products, and at the end of that, eventually there is no use of that. Other than that, among these 18 products, there are 2 glitters, 1 concealer, and you are getting 15 eyeshadows, among which 10 are matte eyeshadows, which are beautifully formulated. In my opinion, they are the best Huda Beauty eyeshadows. They have a little kickback, so they are more like the Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow formula. So if you are familiar with the ABS Soft Glam palette, Modern Renaissance palette, you can expect similar formula from here. So they are a little bit powdery, but they are, you know, extremely pigmented. They blend beautifully on the eyelid. So that is something to keep that in mind, that you might expect a little bit of fallout, not too much. So if you're worried about that, you might do your face makeup later, but you don't see that much fallout. Only you need to tap off the brush a little bit. Don't get scared, because I feel like this is kind of a trade-off, because if you want to make any eyeshadow very pigmented, that becomes a little bit powdery. That's just my opinion. But overall, I'm really impressed by the matte eyeshadows in this palette. This is a significant improvement from the original rose gold palette. Those mattes I really hated, but she has improved the matte eyeshadows over the years, from palette to palette, and this is probably the best ones, honestly, guys. I haven't expected that, honestly. And honestly, when I first saw this palette, I was not thinking of getting it, because this is just another nude palette. At least when I first saw it, I felt like, okay, this is just another nude palette. But what caught my eyes are those marbleized shades. I would call them marbleized because they feel like marble, right? So initially when I saw it on Instagram, I thought like, okay, that might be the, you know, Instagram filter with glitters and sparkles. She has probably used that one. But then I noticed that this is in all pictures, and I was like, okay, that is actually the texture of the eyeshadow. That's not something like an extra filter. So that caught my eyes. Then I felt like, okay, I probably need this palette in my life. I need to swatch this. I need to give a review for you guys, because this seems kind of interesting. So this got me into this palette, these 4 marbleized eyeshadows. These are pretty unique. I haven't seen anything like this. And all of them has some silver particles there. They are not like, you know, separate silver chunky material. These are actually like, you know, when you swatch it, it gets melt into the other product in the pan, and it creates a silvery tone. So when you swatch it, it looks different than the pan, obviously, but it creates a different dimension to the eyeshadow color. I feel like this is a kind of a very unique concept, and I really like these 4 shades. They look definitely a little bit different than the pan, but they are heavily foiled eyeshadows. One thing to keep in mind, that the best way they apply is with your finger. I believe nowadays the most foiled eyeshadows you see in the market, they actually market it that way, that you have to use your finger to get the most payoff. And for these eyeshadows, that is applicable as well. So if you just try it with your brush, you will not get that much payoff. So I have used this shade up here today on my eyes, and I have used mostly my fingers. Only for the corners and to carve out a bit, I have used the brush. But you will get the best payoff with your finger, because I believe the warmth of the finger melts the silver chunky particles there as well, and that helps to blend the product better and gives the more shimmery foil look. So that is something to keep that in mind. Don't try with the brush, because otherwise you will get frustrated. And these 2 here are straight up glitter. The beautiful maroon and rose gold glitter. The glitters are beautiful, but keep that in mind that they are just straight up pressed glitter, so they are a bit chunky. You need to use glitter glue, otherwise they are gonna spread all over your face, because it just treat it like a regular loose glitter. So in that way, will not face that much fallout. The only eyeshadow I have a little complaint about is this one up here. Not complaint, I would say she could have just skipped this one. So this is a satin eyeshadow. This is not like the marbleized eyeshadows, neither glitter nor matte. This is just a regular satin eyeshadow, and I feel like this color here, a regular, you know, antique maroon shade. This is pretty common in most of the nude eyeshadow palettes, so I feel like she could have just skipped this one. I'm not a huge fan of this shade here. So other than that, I really like the color theme going on here, because she has introduced some different transition shades. This one is very cool tone, lilac-y shade. Here she has some you know, neutral transition shades, and this one right up here, this reminds me of Makeup Cupcake, which I have on my crease today. Is a beautiful rose gold transition shade, but it has a warmth to it that makes it wearable for different skin tones, because sometimes you know that these pinky rosy tones eyeshadows, they are a little bit cool tone in some palettes, that makes it not appealing on my kind of skin tone. I have a very warm yellow skin tone, so if you have yellow skin tone, you can still look for this palette because this has some warmth to it. So I believe like she has introduced, and there is a peachy light transition shade up here as well. So the matte eyeshadows are pretty well organized. The one thing I miss in this palette is a very dark plummy or black shade, maybe to deepen the outer V or to use it as an eyeliner maybe. Today I have just used this palette, but I was missing a very dark plummy black shade, because that's the only thing I believe missing here, because the darkest shade here is this purple shade here. This is I have used on my outer V, but I still feel like I would prefer a little more depth on my outer V. So that's just my only complaint about this palette, that they could have probably skipped this shade here and introduced a darker plummy or purpley shade or a black, and this concealer is of no use, so she could have just introduced another shade up here. Honestly guys, I have been really enjoying this palette more than I thought that I would. Initially I was actually debating on getting it, but now I don't regret it at all. So if you're looking for a rose gold pinky or purpley tone palette, then you can look for this one. I don't say this is gonna be like your everyday palette, because these shades right here are very foiled. As you can see on my eyes, they're very foiled. So if you are looking for a palette to go for work or school, this is probably not that kind of palette. You might keep some look with only the matte shades to create it more neutral and you know, regular everyday wearable shade, but even though it's called like, you know, nude palette, it is not like for, you know, everyday work school eyeshadow palette. So because these are very foiled, very metallic, so this is gonna catch people's attention. But if you're looking for something like that, and if you're looking for specifically a different nude palette, unlike the, you know, warm brown tone palettes or the orangey tone palette, you can look for this one. And as I have shown the breakdown in the beginning, that even though it seems like $65 is a lot, but you are actually getting a lot of product here, and the price per gram is actually cheaper compared to the other high-end brands. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit the ring bell button, because I will try to be more regular and do more videos and reviews like this, so you don't want to miss that. If you just subscribe and don't hit the ring bell button, you might not get notification for my new videos. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay well, stay beautiful. Bye bye guys.